decisions. These are my 8 decisions. These are my 8 decisions. The decisions for success. These are my 8 decisions.
Hi, Robert Hartline here with The Decision Experience, a podcast where I interview people doing amazing things, whether entrepreneurially, in their own personal journey through this life, but navigating the complexities of all the decisions that we make to find who we are, who we're meant to be here on earth. And I want to welcome Laura Guinn.
Laura
Welcome.
Guinn. Thank you.
So, we were having dinner after the TEDx.
Yes.
And we had, it was a great time of other entrepreneurs like getting around and talking after TEDx. Was there anything out of that TEDx that struck you?
Oh, there were so many things.
Yeah.
There were so many things. I'd never been to a TEDx, so other than our EO events, but I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the photographer.
Yeah, that spoke to me too.
It spoke to me. Yes.
Yeah, and I loved his connection. He had this great presentation around describing the body of the camera.
Yes.
And what it does with, capturing light, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that connection with our hearts and how we are like a camera body. And it was really magical.
It really was. And about the energy that we create.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah. I wish there was more attending. I was like, I thought there'd be more people there, but it was a well-run event.
Very well.
And it was just good. I got inspired. I don't know about you.
Oh, yes. I stay jazzed for several days for things like that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I needed the energy, needed the inspiration, shall we say.
Yeah. Yeah. And plus the dinner afterwards was helpful.
Oh, yes. It's always fun to connect with other entrepreneurs. You realize you're not, in my case, a woman on an island.
Yeah.
You have a group of people that are all willing to help you. All you have to do is ask.
So speaking of entrepreneurship,
Yes.
Now Leasing is your company you've had for a
Yes.
long time. How long are we talking?
Well, let's see. We opened Now Leasing in 1996, so almost 28 years. So 28 years for there, but it's a family-owned business. We started the first apartment locator service in 1969, so well over 50 years ago. My dad started that, and then we started apartment guide magazines. So we've been in the apartment industry
Wow.
for well over 50 years. So it's
Is
changed
this
drastically.
something you were watching your dad grow the business in
I watched
high
my
school?
dad grow from the time I was probably 5,
Wow.
sitting at the dinner table. I always said I learned the business through osmosis. And that was just by sitting at the dinner table because my mom and dad both did it together. They started the company together.
Was there an assumption that's what you were going to do when you grew up, or
No, never really. I mean, I was born to be more of an artist, to have the creative brain, and so when we started publishing the magazine, I planned on being the graphic designer. I did a lot for the magazine, press checks and things like that back then when we had to do those kind of things. We don't do those anymore. But then I got into the corporate housing side right after we sold our magazines, and so I've loved it. I love helping people. That's the main thing, is helping people when they're stressed and when they don't know which way to turn. I love being the answer.
Now, did you grow up in Nashville?
I did not. Grew up in Memphis.
Oh, wow. When did you make the move to Nashville?
Oh, about that same time, 95, 96.
Wow.
So yes, I've been here about 30 years.
Wow.
So I
And
feel like it's home.
Yeah, I've been here. I got here in 93, so 31, 32 years or whatever. Knowing what you know of Nashville, I mean, you fell in love with Nashville, so you stayed in Nashville, right?
Right.
How do you incorporate your love of Nashville in the work that you do?
Well, I think my love for Nashville is contagious, and that makes it really easy, to bring people to Nashville. People are hesitant when they move to Nashville because they're moving away from their family units. They're moving away from their support systems. They're starting something brand new. We all know that starting something brand new is exciting, but it can be really scary too. And so I love the fact that I can help people bring that scariness factor down. I try to make them feel at ease when they move here, whether it be just finding them an apartment or a home to live in, but also helping them find where to get their hair done or, how to get little Billy in the soccer club or whatever you need to do. So I love being that resource for people.
And what's the thing that you either a story or something to get them inspired about Nashville that you use when you're talking to someone about their move, like what to expect, or is there anything that you give them a little taste of what it's all about?
I do, I guess. I've never thought about it that way, but I think Nashville's so friendly.
It is.
I moved here and I knew not a soul the day I moved here. And I've been very fortunate to meet some really amazing people, and some people in Nashville that are old families that don't need any more people in their social circle, right? But for them to open their social circle and let me in was always an honor, right? And so I don't think you get that anyplace else. Well, I mean, I haven't been many places to live, but I don't think you get that very often.
Yeah.
Even when I go to New York City and say hello to a stranger, they're like, you're obviously not from here.
Right.
Because I'm really friendly. So
Yeah. It's funny because obviously if someone's into music and they're here for music, like it's kind of like, that there's a certain talk track that someone would have, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I have learned to do is I tell the story about WSM.
I love that story.
And, here is an insurance company. Their motto was "We Shield Millions." They put up a AM radio station in Concord Road.
Yep.
And it reaches all across the United States, up to Canada.
Right.
And so people from all over the world came to Nashville to be heard. And it's not just music.
No, it's not just music.
It was the spoken word. It was news. It was what's happening in the world. And everybody came here to be on the radio and be a voice. And it's funny, to this day, there's tons of people that are moving here that are not in the music business, but they are in the speaking business. They're in the talking on the internet and on the web and all the places that we're consuming our information now.
True.
And it's
Hadn't
still
thought about
to this day. And I think Nashville has this, it's weird, like when you've experienced the friendliness of the town, you're automatically, I got to do this. I got to be that voice for that person that lands. Like, how do we get him connected or her connected to this, all the opportunities that are here? Because there's a ton of opportunities.
There's a ton of opportunities. I mean, I've even helped spouses find jobs. So yes, it's so nice to be connected with enough people, and people are friendly enough that they'll take their time.
Yeah.
And they'll meet somebody new, because you never know.
And so you also work with organizations that are moving headquarters, right?
I do.
What does that look like when you're navigating, I guess, what your unique gift to the organization to help these employees find a home, to settle in and, get connected, right?
Right. Well, I mean, I've helped people like a Nissan when they first came in. I was able to help them move their folks here. Even Dell, we put people on buses and showed them apartments, when they first moved here. And so I enjoy working with that higher up in the company that is really more of a boutique type of person. They're looking for something very specific. They're coming from larger homes, and they don't want just the normal thing. They want something unique. I find that they typically want something different from what they've been living in, which is kind of nice. So it's, they may want to live in a penthouse downtown versus living in their French style home that they live in and wherever they're coming from. And so it's a fun, unique experience to find out who that person really is and that family really is, and what makes them tick and what they really enjoy, whether it's the walkability of Nashville because they want to be downtown and they want to be able to walk to restaurants, or maybe they want to be out in the county, be in Williamson County because they want the school systems and they want parks to walk in and all the things. So,
what is a thing that they typically are asking for that maybe I wouldn't even know about? Like, are there certain types of experiences they're looking for their team? Because when they want to bring their team with some love and help them find their way. Is there like some things I wouldn't know that they would be looking for that you have to help them with?
Oh, good question. each company is different. Their cultures are different. And so if you're bringing in a team of people, you may have people that have families, some that are not bringing their families. And those are two totally unique circumstances. If you've got somebody that's coming in and they're sacrificing leaving their family at home and they're by themselves, you want them to be happy. I find that when people bring families in, if mama's not happy, nobody's happy, right?
That's just right.
And so making sure that their family is settled, because once they're settled, and I found this with anybody, even if it's a single person coming into work, if that's one thing that's taken off their plate, then they can be productive in their business and in their job much faster.
Yeah. And I would assume that, this moving is exciting, right?
It is, but it can be stressful.
Yeah. You see that a lot where like they're excited, but they're also just on edge about everything?
Yes, because death, divorce, and relocation are your three most horrible stressors. And so they put them up there with those two other things. And so it can be very stressful, for, say, a family moving from overseas. We help a lot of people move from overseas, and they're coming here, their spouse doesn't speak the language. And they're having to find the right schools for their kids and navigate through getting Social Security numbers and doing all those things. And that's part of what I do, is I help people get settled all the way around.
Well, I've not done a corporate move, so I came here in 93 and I'm still here. So I've never experienced, but I would assume it's just something I've told people in the past, like, what area should I move to? I always say, get something temporary so you can figure out what you love.
Right.
Because I'd hate to buy a house in a neighborhood I didn't love.
I know.
And so that happens all the time, I guess.
It does. That's why I've always said, come date Nashville.
Yeah.
And then get married. Because it does. It takes time. And the reason I even started my business is I moved here to work with one of our other companies, the Apartment Guide Monthly Magazine. And I lived in a hotel, an extended stay hotel, for 2 months. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, because it's just too confining. You can't get your laundry done. You can't have your pet with you. There's so many things you can't do. Sure, it's nice to stay in a hotel, but after months, it's not fun anymore. And so I find that when I can help somebody have an apartment or a home and they can get settled in, and even if they're having to travel back home, they can leave everything in place. They don't feel like they have to constantly pick up and move every single time. And, the nice thing about corporate housing is you can bring your pet. You can bring grandma. You can bring anybody with you. You can't do that in a hotel.
Plus, in a corporate housing situation, they can get furniture too. You get a furnished place.
Right, it's all furnished.
Everything's taken care of.
Everything. I tell people, just bring your suitcase.
Yeah.
I used to say a bag of groceries, but now we deliver them. So,
wow.
Whenever you're ready and whatever you need for that first few weeks, then it's in the refrigerator ready to go.
Since you started this, the number of amenities and walkable neighborhoods and features that you could have in a corporate housing has probably drastically changed. Just a lot more. It's
drastically changed, but apartments have drastically changed. And we use a majority of apartments because people love the amenities that an apartment can give. You've got a pool, you've got a gym, you've got a business center, you have a conference room. So if you had to have a meeting outside of the office, you've got that right there. You've got parking garages. There's so many things that you can do, which you couldn't do before. And so it's nice to have all of those amenities. Movie rooms, coffee bars, you name it, they've got it. Plunge pools now, hot tubs, swimming pools, simulators for golf.
Wow.
It's amazing what you can get. So whatever tickles your fancy, you can find it.
Now, in Nashville now, we have a lot of new places, a lot of new apartments, a lot of new growth. And now I don't know, you hear things online about we built too much but they eventually fill up, because we've gone through this before in Nashville, right?
We have. In my lifetime, I've seen it happen in 3 cycles. So where we come in, we don't have any inventory. People are, scrounging around trying to find apartments and they can't find anything. Then we build and we build and we build, and then we overbuild, and you see people offering a month's rent free, 2 months rent free. They're trying to get everybody in. But once they fill up, then we start the cycle all over again.
The prices go back up.
The prices go back up, and life just changes. And they'll wait 10 more years, and then all of a sudden you'll have a growth spurt again, and here come all the new buildings with all the new bells and whistles. So yeah.
What do you tell a Nashvilleian that's been here forever when they tell you Nashville's full, go somewhere else?
I have a lot of people that say that. And, and I even have to say that some days, because, we both been here about the same length of time. Navigating traffic's different now than it was when we first got here. When I first got here, downtown was boarded up, so we didn't have it like we have it now. And so growth, it can be painful, but growth can be good, and it brings us all forward. So you do have your older folks in Nashville that don't want the growth. The progress, we have progress.
That's right. Well, I think it's really interesting. You said the three most transformational, how did you say, stressful times in someone's life is a move, a divorce, and
death,
right? So those are like, I think it's powerful when people move, they enter an altered state. They all their patterns get shifted. They develop new habits. They transform. And you can have a massive transformation in a move. When you think about the way you've grown Now Leasing, was there a time where you struggled with some kind of decision in the business that you had to navigate, where you were, hey, you recognize you need to make a change, but you struggled actually making the change or making a decision? Do you have anything you could share?
Of course. I mean, I think in the beginning, I wanted to be everything to everybody. I ran probably 400 units at any given time. That's a lot of apartments to run in 2 cities. And so, because we have an office in Memphis as well, I think when I pared down what I did and I specialized even in a more boutique situation about helping others that had unique needs, that's when I blossomed. Because I felt like I was helping people more. Just putting a head in a bed in a hotel is that's not a passion for me. But for example, if somebody's here, they're having a bone marrow transplant or they're having some type of chemotherapy treatment and they can't be around other people, they can't stay in a hotel. I love the fact that I can give them an apartment and they can bring their loved ones with them. They can bring their pet with them. They can't do that any other time. So, though it is corporate relocation, we help people in other situations too, or somebody whose house is burned to the ground. Those are special, unique situations where that feeds my soul to be able to help people that are in stressful situations or in times of just change. Right.
Yeah. I would guess that, my neighbor's house burned, I guess 4 or 5 years ago. And it was pretty emotional to see the family go through that. And then, lost valuable things. And
oh yeah, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
And you get those calls.
I do get those calls. I had my mother-in-law's house burned, and we were getting ready to adopt a baby and stay with her. And then we had to put ourselves in corporate housing. Wow. So, it's a stressful time for people. And she lost, really unique things. Her husband had passed and she lost valuable things that were not valuable as far as monetarily, but value in just memories. Right. And so there are people that just have those happen and you have to be compassionate because they're going through a really hard time, just like a person with cancer. They're watching their life flash in front of their eyes. And if you can make them comfortable and happy when they're going through a rough time, it's so satisfying.
So back to like someone thinking about Nashville,
right?
They think about coming here. Like, let's say they make the commitment. What kind of, what do they need to know?
They need to know that Nashville is probably a little bit more expensive than they think it's going to be. There's so many people that have moved here. And, it used to be that people thought we were the country bumpkins, that we wore our cut-off Daisy jeans and, and we had cowboy hats and we had boots. And
well, some of us still do.
And we do, but that doesn't mean that that's how this day and age works every day, right? And so I find that people come here not knowing how sophisticated we really are.
Yeah.
And I love that, because we've become that sophisticated with the symphony, with our football team, with our soccer team, with everything. We're it's pretty exciting. So I think it's just exciting to be moving to Nashville in this time. We've got jobs and great headquarters moving here and a huge entrepreneurial hub. It's just exciting. The energy is high. And I think that's fun to let people know.
So specifically, if you're thinking like an entrepreneur moving his business here or getting antiquated, how does he connect or she connect to the entrepreneurial community? Like what tips could you give someone to navigate building the network here?
Oh, goodness.
Because speaking of network, you got a kick-ass network. And I looked on LinkedIn, and we have like 446 mutual connections. And I don't think I've met anyone else that we have that many joint connections, which is wild.
That's great.
And I want to hear the story too, because you have a story about LinkedIn. You got to share
that's
this.
True. That's true. I'll say way back when, because I can't remember what year it was. I was one of the first, maybe 4 or 5 females that joined EO, which I love, Entrepreneurs Organization. And I was serving on the board, and we went to our first Greater Leadership Council. I think that's what GLC is what we called it. And we were in San Francisco. And I was sitting next to a gentleman, and of course, you're always introducing yourself to people to say, what do you do? What do you do? And he said, I've started this networking group, but it's online. And I'm thinking, online? How does that work? And he says, well, we all have different degrees of how we know people. And I said, well, tell me what the name of it is. And he said, I'm calling it LinkedIn. And so, yes, it was Reed that I was sitting next to. And needless to say, I joined LinkedIn that day.
That is, so you were super early.
I was an earlier adopter, but I didn't grow it because I didn't know what to do with it then. Now I know what to do with it, but I didn't grasp it as well as I should have in the beginning. But it is fascinating what he's created.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you're a master at connecting with people. Is there places that entrepreneurs should place themselves? Like what would it look like to really get connected with the community?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I got connected when I joined EO. There are other mastermind groups. There are other social networks that, business breakfast, things like that.
Yeah.
If they're coming in, then obviously I would shoot them towards the Entrepreneur Center because it's an amazing facility. And they really help you grow. So those would probably be my first places. But then, we have connections like the New York Nashville connection. And I love working with those folks because it's people that are doing business in New York and in Nashville. And so it's a great network working group as well. So it just depends on where you want to focus. You can find a group. You just need to find what works best for you.
Yeah.
And in your industry.
Yeah. I'll just add to this. I have started to incorporate walking talks.
Ooh, I love that idea.
Instead of coffees, because I'm kind of tired of.
I know. I don't even drink coffee.
I'm not. I drink something totally different, and there's something that happens when you go on a walk with someone. Mm-hmm. You go to the Parthenon. You have a story to talk about. When you're walking on West End, it's just this magical building, and that's fun. The Radnor Lake or Sevier Park. I mean, there's a lot of places that you can go just have a conversation. It's different. It's wild when it's one way, like we're talking or having coffee. There's a lot of distractions, other conversations. We're not like
and people are busy around you.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I need to go on a walk and talk with you. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're walking, I don't know. It's just like a different. I just find it. I wish more people like made that the go-to. Fresh air, exercise, and then natural good conversation is always awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
Did you start doing that during
I started
COVID
doing that COVID.
Before?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. In fact, I changed my signature line to put that as an option to book time with me instead of the traditional
meeting
Zoom or oh my gosh, if I do one more Zoom call, I'm just
cannot stand it. Yeah. I'd rather be with you. I'd rather be seeing you face to face.
There we go. Beautiful. So how would someone find you?
Good question. They can find me on LinkedIn, obviously, because I have a huge network there. Instagram, my website, nowleasing.com. You can DM me. You can call me. You can call my office.
By the way,
There's so
she's
many ways.
masterful at social media. I really I look at what you do and I'm like, I'm taking notes here.
Taking notes. Oh, well, I've been trying. It didn't come easy. I'm not a big camera sharer person. I like to be behind the camera, not in front of the camera. So it's taken a while to feel comfortable, but I enjoy it now. And however that works and it helps people.
Yeah. I mean, especially what you do, helping people navigate finding home. And home is more than the place. It's the community.
Oh, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's not just a place to lay your head.
Yeah.
It's so much more. It's the way it looks and the way it smells and the cleanliness of it and where it's situated. All of those things make a huge difference because, we've all been to great places before and then we go to one place and it's not great.
Yeah.
And what do you remember? The not great.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy making it an experience. I've always said I believe in experiences in any part of my life, whether it's jumping out of a plane or whether it's staying in a beautiful place that has beautiful artwork. It's an experience. Make
Laura,
life
thank
an
you.
experience. You're welcome. Thank you.